guys, welcome back here to the Fishing Teacher. Appreciate you guys joining me for an on the water video today. And guys, today we're going to be talking about fishing main lake bluffs as far as the techniques to use and how to approach it and everything. These main lake bluffs like this, as you can see right on the main lake right here, main lake bluff, these are excellent areas during the springtime of the year, especially in early spring. Bass will use these things sort of like highways, and what they do is they'll stay on the bluffs, and then eventually they'll move like in the back of those coves there. So they just sort of stage in these areas. So we're going to give you guys some good tips and advice on how to catch fish on these bluffs today. Also guys, quick thank you out there, everybody that has been using and bookmarking my tackle warehouse link that I have in every video description. Thank you very much for me and my family. I get messages all the time about guys say, Randy, I used your link to buy a rod and reel. Man, that's a big way to support the channel if you want to do so. Also guys, the description is only available on your laptop and your phone. If you watch it on TV, I don't think you can get into there. Anyway, thank you very much for that. And also guys, anybody interested in booking an on the water lesson with me, all you have to do is go to my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat, shoot me a private message, and I do private lessons on both Table Rock and Stockton Lake here in Missouri, and look forward to hearing from you guys. So anyway guys, these main lake bluffs, man, what I want to do is I'm going to turn the camera around here and we're sort of going to go down it, sort of explain to you what you want to do. But the main thing about these things is why they're so good is they're a vertical structure next to deep water. So the bigger fish feel very safe because they can pull up here shallow on these bluffs and feed like in less than 10 foot of water. And then they can, just in a matter of seconds, they can swim out here in the main lake and they can go deep, or they can suspend or whatever. So it offers a lot of security for the bass. It offers a lot of food for them. Bait fish, crawdads live here, perch, just really good places to fish for them. So let me sort of turn the camera around here and I'll sort of, talk a little bit about how to fish. Okay guys, here's a really good example of a main lake bluffy bank. Now bluffs can come in a lot of different varieties. They can come in, vertical walls or chunk rock broken up a little bit, and the depth that they have off the bluff varies. Some of the bluffs are vertical drops right off them. Some of them gradually stair step. So depending upon the bluff and how it's set up, it determines the technique that you want to use. But here is my rule of thumb. My bluff fishing has to do with water clarity. Everything in regarding to the technique goes. If the water is clear, like if you've got over 4 foot of water visibility here, these fish can use a lot of different areas. If it's windy or cloudy or something like that, and the water temperature's in the 50s, look for those fish to be up shallow on the bluffs where you can catch them like on a spinner bait, a crankbait, a chatterbait. But on a day like today where there's not much wind, pretty bright out, a lot of times you're going to have to back out off of these things and like fish a finesse jig out deeper, jerk bait a little bit deeper, Alabama rig, something like that, shaky head, because a lot of those fish will either move into 15 or 20 foot of water, or they'll move out here and suspend. Now, as your water clarity goes down and it gets a little bit more dirty, that's when these fish are not going to have the option. They're not going to go as deep, and they're not going to move out and suspend. The fish are going to get closer on the bank here, especially if you have water visibility of under 3 feet. So if you've got water visibility of under 3 feet, one of the things to remember is get your boat close like this, and you want to parallel the bank. So based upon the water depth, as you can see here, it's about 13 feet here. We're about 15 foot off the bank. This is a perfect slope. So I would get my boat, like right now we're in about 10 foot of water, and in an off-colored water situation, less than 3 foot, I'm gonna be making long parallel casts down this bank with like a crankbait, a spinnerbait, a chatterbait, like a wiggle wart or square bill crankbait is gonna be an excellent choice, and just cover water with it. Now, one of the things about fishing these bluffs is unless you have like a little rock outcropping or an indentation, they can be anywhere. So with bluff fishing, it can be pretty monotonous and boring. You just have to put the trolling motor down and just cover water consistently. Make sure that you're hitting the bottom, because you see some of these rocks right here in the water. Those rocks go out into the water, and those are the places those crawdads live this time of year. Bass love to feed on crawdads in the pre-spawn. So make sure you're knocking that bottom with, whatever crankbait that you're using. A couple different things here as far as picking the right bluff, because some lakes have tons of bluffs on them, and not all of them are going to be as productive. One of the things that's going to help you guys catch fish on bluffs is try to concentrate on the bluffs that are somewhat close to spawning coves. Those are going to be better. Like here, you can see we got this bluff here, and we got a big spawning cove right there. That would make this bluff really, really good. Now, another thing with that is pay close attention to how sharp that water drops off in relationship to getting in deep water. Now, some of these bluffs, the channel swings right up against them, and others, you know, the channel's way out in the lake. So if you've got a bluff, say right now we're about probably 30 foot away from this bluff. If the water depth is like under 10 foot and you're still 20 or 30 foot off the bluff, not going to be that good. You want to have like, you know, 20, 30, 40 foot of water, like as far as we are off the bank here. You know, we're about, like I said, probably 30, 40 foot off the bank here. If I got deep water access nearby, that makes it a lot more conducive to the fish to do it. And also, some of the best bluffs are going to have a lot of irregular features on it. You know, rock slides, rock transition, broken rock. The straight vertical walls, while they can be decent at times, are usually not quite as productive. But ultimately, you just have to fish it. And the way to do it, guys, is just pull up on a bluff, you know, fish it for 15 minutes or so. Try a couple different techniques. If you're not catching any fish, just move on to the next one. And also with bluffs, there's a couple different things. Shade is going to be your friend if you got shade on the bluff, and definitely wind and clouds, especially in the pre-spawn. A lot of times on a day like today, not much wind, bright, sunny, it's going to be tough out there. So very conditional, very situational, but great place to catch big ones in the pre-spawn time of the year. So hope it helps out.